I want to start, though, with the bizarre experience I had on Saturday. I wrote this up at the end of the day Saturday and then cleaned it up Sunday morning and sent it off to Alternet. They published it yesterday afternoon. It's still on the main website at alternet.org. And the title is The Bizarre Experience of Watching Cable News in America on Earth Day. And, I'll just say this right up front. I was working on a book all day Saturday. Typically my weekends, if I'm not traveling or if, on Sunday, Louise and I actually took a couple hours and went to see a movie, but, and had dinner out. But, normally, I mean, that's kind of our weekends is we both work all weekend. It's a good time for her to catch up on bookkeeping and stuff like that. And I'm always working on a book. Actually, right now I'm working on several, along with a couple of friends, Troy here and Sam, and we're redoing some of my older books, and I'm working on a newer book. But in any case, so I'm sitting there, banging away at the typewriter, and I've got the TV on in the background, and I'm just sort of half listening to it and from time to time looking at it. And I was just flipping back and forth all day between MSNBC and CNN. I know I can predict what's going to happen on Fox. I don't even bother going there anymore. On Earth, this was on Earth Day, right? And on CNN, I mean, not only did they stoop to the depths of putting a climate denier on to debate Bill Nye, something he took them on about. Now, I didn't see that. I read about that. So I'm not even certain that that happened on Saturday, but, I've seen the story around. But, well, let me just, read to you my first couple of paragraphs here, because it's summarized. Just what the hell exactly are they afraid of? Are the fossil fuel billionaires, the corporations, and the lobby really so strong that they can cow entire television networks, not to mention politicians? All day Saturday, Earth Day, I'd been on and off watching CNN and MSNBC while writing a new book, and I'd heard repeated dozens of times, and you probably did too, that Donald Trump and his buddies like Scott Pruitt, the new EPA chief, don't want to, quote, sacrifice jobs on the altar of climate regulations, end quote. I heard this over and over again. I don't know if you did. I'm guessing if you watched MSNBC or CNN, you probably did, or even other networks. I didn't, flip to the major networks. But nobody, so that side of the story, the Republican side of the story, we're doing this for jobs, right? We're shutting down science. We're stripping science from government websites. We're rolling back the EPA. We're defunding the EPA. We're killing science, and we're stopping anti-climate change activities. We're doing all that to create jobs. Now, and I know, and probably anybody who gives it serious thought knows that that is complete and utter bullpucky. It is nonsense. The reality is that there are huge profits to be made in poisoning us and the earth with fossil fuels and their waste products. And the people who are profiting from poisoning the earth and us are taking some of that profit and cycling it into the television networks in the form of advertising and to the entire Republican Party and even a few Democrats, although very, very few. The people denying science are doing so because it makes them money. This is a simple reality. This is not a secret. Right? Have you seen all the stories about how, in the 1980s, ExxonMobil knew that their product was going to warm the atmosphere and kill the planet? And they decided instead to fund groups like the Heartland Institute and these other right-wing so-called think tanks that sponsor so-called scientists who say that, I'm skeptical of all this. Why won't they come out and say it? I don't get it. I mean, in the New York Times, which does not take massive amounts of money from the fossil fuel industry, Frank Rich writes, and I quote, Koch-supported lobbyists, foundations, and political operatives are at the center of climate science denial, a cause that forestalls threats to Koch Industries' vast fossil fuel business. Yeah, that's Frank Rich in the New York Times telling the truth. But CNN and MSNBC, did you, now maybe I missed it. Maybe it was there. Maybe somebody came on. But see, even the politicians they had, I caught one segment where Bill Richardson, who's a good guy. I've met Bill a number of times. You know, he's from New Mexico. He was the former governor. He was the ambassador. He might have been a senator. I'm not sure, but you know, Bill Richardson has he's a great reputation, great. And they asked him, rebut this. And he started talking about, well, climate change is real and it's a problem and we've got to work with other nations. And he said all the right things, except that he wouldn't call out the petro-billionaires. And I'm like, is this some kind of a disease in the Democratic Party or among the intelligentsia or among in general the media, that they're afraid to point out that there are billions of dollars to be made poisoning our planet, and the people making that money are recycling it into the news media and into politics? Is no one willing to speak the truth here? Obama repeals the streams rule. Remember the streams rule? It was an Obama-era regulation that said that coal mining operations can't dump their poisonous waste in rivers or streams anymore. This goes downriver, and it not only kills other living things, but it also kills us. Trump repealed that with much fanfare, with a ceremony in the White House where he signed the executive order, right? And everybody was around him, all these coal miners and everybody. And at the time, you'll remember my going on the air, this was like a couple of weeks ago, just ranting about the fact that nobody pointed out that the streams rule, that nobody was pushing back on Trump's claim that we're undoing this regulation because we need to save jobs. Bullpucky. You're undoing the streams regulation to save money. In fact, he quantified it. He said it's going to save the coal companies $50 million. Well, it is. It's a hell of a lot cheaper to hire a guy with a dump truck to dump your toxic waste in the river than it is to hire a high-tech company to develop technologies to clean and scrub the poisons that you've developed. So doing away with the streams rule not only poisons communities downriver, it cuts jobs. Nobody pointed that out in the media. President Obama's coal-fired power plant smokestack rule thing. Oh, we're doing that to save jobs. We're undoing that. Well, sorry, you're going to lose jobs in the industry of creating clean power. You're not going to save any jobs. The only new jobs that are going to come from it are jobs in the emergency room looking at lung cancers and asthmas. So I'm just curious, if your experience of watching Earth Day on television was as bizarre as mine,